everyone, and welcome to Edo and HuMei's Round the Coffee Table podcast. I'm Edo.
And I'm HuMei.
Yes, and we're happy that you could join us this particular evening. Starting something new here. It's going to be on OurBigBlueBall.com as a partner to all the work that we've been doing there. So, what the heck is OurBigBlueBall.com? You may have looked around on it. You've seen some of our game reviews. You've seen a couple of our videos, maybe. So, in a nutshell, OurBigBlueBall.com is a website for travel, arts, entertainment, dining, and events. So basically what it is, it's an online magazine for leisure time. What we can do is we can break that down into a couple of other different categories. We've got pop culture, there are movie reviews, there's restaurant reviews, sports recreation. It's all devoted to things that you like to do for fun and things that we'd like to tell you about that you can go out and have fun with.
All kinds of things. It can be tabletop games, it could be computer games, movies, whatever you might enjoy, because we figure the things that we enjoy, other people are going to enjoy, and that's what we're trying to get out there.
Okay, so we've got Edo and HuMei. Once again, I'm Edo. He's HuMei. And what's this podcast going to be about? Well, once again, this is Around the Coffee Table podcast, and it's different than the title that we have on the website, which is Games Around the Table. And the reason why we and HuMei came up with the title here was that we're not just going to be talking about games in these podcasts. What we do is that we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. We've got games, we've got computer games, we've got video games, we've got pop culture, we've got movies, we've got anime, and we've got coming events. And it's all the kinds of things that we enjoy. And more often than not, if we enjoy it, you're going to enjoy it as well. And when we talk about games, we've got the board games, we've got the card games, we've got collectible games. When we go into more of the video type of games, now we're not really too much into the video game systems themselves.
Right.
Yeah, but we'll go on to computer games and some of the big things out there that you can get into that aren't very expensive. Well, for one, and we'll go into this in a later review and podcast, one of John's favorite online massive multiplayer online RPGs is
Guild Wars 2.
Now, Guild Wars 2, that runs you about, what, $40, $50?
It runs $50 to $60, depending on where you get it. And once you get it, you don't have to pay that monthly fee like you do in certain other games. As long as you got an internet connection, you can get on. And I'll say this: if you ever get on Guild Wars 2, and you want to look, you ever see Edo HuMei go running past you on the screen, that's me.
Yep, so you can actually see him right there in the game. So hunt him down if you're on a particular server. And once again, we'll go into a little more about Guild Wars 2 and whatnot. And
in another game, yep.
Yeah, so, but also is that there are also a lot of free online games that all you have to do is download them.
Yep.
And that portion of it is if you can't get out of your house, maybe it's rainy, weather, whatever it may be, you might be able to download something and meet some new friends online. We've got pop culture topics that'll come up. Maybe things we found out on the news or viral videos, just something really weird and wacky that we think that you'd really enjoy when it comes up in our particular lives. And of course, we've got movies. Everyone likes movies. We like movies. We just don't really sit down and watch them as much as
we used to, but we do enjoy them. If you can name it, as far as definitely guy flicks. If you're Marvel Avengers, how many times did we go see that?
I think last time I counted it was 7,000 times.
Yes, and you name it, we're into it one way or another. Star Trek, science fiction, fantasy. I'm big into history. Our tastes go everywhere.
So what we're trying to do is that once there's a movie that we think that we really want people to get amped up about, then we'll discuss it here. Like I we didn't really get to go see Pacific Rim.
Right.
Over there, and that's an old, homage to Godzilla flicks. And by the time we were thinking, you know what, we better go see it, and we said, well, wait a minute, it's going to be coming out in another 3 weeks on DVD. So what we'll do is we'll try to review that and get that up here and talk about that.
Speaking of which, real interesting thing that comes up this coming Tuesday, and we're supposed to try and get together to watch it. Marvel's Special Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that comes up Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to that like something fierce.
So, this podcast may be up after it has actually been broadcast. So, by the next time you hear another podcast from us, maybe a week or two have gone by, and we can definitely talk about that, what we thought about it here during our the next podcast. We've got anime. We've been watching that. I've sort of corrupted John from...
Oh, just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit from my time in Japan and whatnot. So we can talk about some interesting ones that have popped up. The next thing we sort of talk about, and it's another section for our podcast, is coming events. And we'll discuss that a little more once we get a little further on into the podcast here. I know a lot of people out there might be saying, who the heck are we and how the heck did we meet? I mean, we've got a fair amount of gaming experience under our belts. I don't think we've been playing as much as a number of people in the industry, but we've played quite a number of different games.
Yeah, and quite a wide variety of games.
Oh, yeah. How'd you get started in there?
Well, for me it was when I was a kid, my family had Thursday night games night. We played Monopoly, we played Scrabble, we played all kinds of games like that. When I went into service, when my experiences widened out, and I got into first edition D&D 30 years ago.
Wow, you're really that old?
Yeah. Like I say, I've got Moses' beeper number back here in my bedroom.
Okay, and as for me, I got introduced to D&D back when I was around 8 years old. My cousin introduced that to me, and I've pretty much don't play D&D exclusively, but that's where my role-playing game days started. And just like HuMei said, I started, with the regular board games, Monopoly, Yahtzee, all of that. I can remember as far back as I can remember. Don't remember playing Candyland that much, but...
Oh, I remember Candyland.
Oh, I remember. It's just that I don't remember playing it as often as well.
Chutes and Ladders?
Yeah. But, of course, that's where we all started, and then, of course, it just snowballed into stuff like, hacking apart orcs, on a Friday evening.
Yep.
So, it was, has it been really 7-ish years? Let's see, yeah. It's been almost 7 years since HuMei and I ran into each other. We met through a local friend who was running a game store and just headed off there, and we've pretty much been hanging out every week since.
Yep.
It's been 7 years. Good golly, has it been that long?
Yep, and for mortal enemies, that's saying something.
Yes. And you know what? That's just an in-joke, and if you've seen our videos so far, he's not my mortal enemy. He's actually my best friend. So, but we just do that as a bit of bit of flavor in the videos. But you know what? If you really think about it, when he's on the opposite end of the table, if we're not playing a cooperative game, he is mortal enemy. So that's where all gaming experiences come from. And we got involved with OurBigBlueBall.com through a mutual friend as well, just to give an entertainment aspect to the site, not just arts and entertainment, but games. Everyone likes games. Everyone wants to unwind. Everyone wants to get together with others and shoot the bull wherever, maybe play cards. It's the games that we play pretty much are sort of like, you get together for card night. You play Parcheesi or Bridge, and it's really no different than that. It's just on a different, I don't want to say scale, but sort of a different, it's just a genre, so to speak. And it's if you get together with friends and just shoot the bull and watch TV, you can do the same thing with playing games.
Yep. And one of the things is because there are so many games out there. Like Edo was saying earlier, there are so many. We haven't played as much as some others, but I doubt anybody's played everything out there. There's just too much. What you got to do is find out what you like, and then check into that kind of feel. If you're into science fiction, dude, get down to that game store, because I'm telling you, you'll go nuts. You into fantasy? Go have a ball. If you're into trains, they've got games about trains. It's unreal.
You know, one of our favorite haunts is a place called Neverland Games. It's here in beautiful downtown Waynesboro, PA, and the owner, he has been in the game industry before. He's a gamer himself, and he has a lot of stuff available. And it's not just limited to the game store that we have down the street, literally down the street. It's your local game store as well. And it might behoove you to go in there and see what they have available, because you can actually meet a lot of people. I mean, I met HuMei here through a game store. And
well, the guy who's running OurBigBlueBall, we met him through game store.
Yeah, he ran, was it 2 stores, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yes, and unfortunately, both have been buried into the annals of history.
Well, the first one, I understand, he basically left as it was a form of success, and then went on to the second one, and now when we had some problems that didn't work out. But talk about having a wonderful time! It's some of my fondest memories.
Yeah, we spent many an hour weekend there.
Yep.
And that's the kind of camaraderie you can find out, or meet new people down at your game store, like Tony, the aforementioned owner of Neverland Games. He's got lots of different games on display. He's got open copies of games, so if you see something that you may like, you could say, hey, do you have an open copy of this? Can I see what's in it? And if he's not too busy, either he or maybe someone else, one of the regulars of the store, will sit down and play it with you. And that's one of the things that we want to make sure that you have a good time playing a particular game, because I'm sure that all of you at one point you've either picked up, say, a book or a movie, or maybe it's even a video game, some sort of game, whatever. You've picked up something in the past, you've opened it up, you've experienced it, whatever the subject matter may be, and you found out that you didn't like it and you may have wasted your money. So at least when you go to a game store, you may be able to find out what you can actually get a hold of and see if it's something that you actually like.
Right. If you go to Walmart and pick up a game, you're not going to get somebody to sit down and help you figure out how to play that game beforehand as to whether or not you're going to enjoy it. Game stores, their bread and butter is literally making sure you enjoy what you're spending your money on. They want you to come back, and that means when you get home, that game should be just as enjoyable at home as it is there. Well, the only way to do that is to make sure you understand it. We were talking earlier about how you ever get a game where you open it up and it's like the rules look like they were written in 3 different languages and none of them were English? Well, there you go. And they'll have all kinds of techno speak for that particular industry. Think about where you work at. There are words you use at work that you don't use anywhere else, and heck, that's how the whole For Dummies book system got started, was people using techno speak with computers and things like that, and you don't have a clue. You just need somebody to explain it to you. The game store, that's the first thing they do. They'll sit down and they'll break it down for you. And heck, if you show up down at Neverland with us and I'm there, I'll break open that game in a heartbeat, because to me it's a new game. I got a new game to play. Yes.
Down.
Oh yeah, games.
Yeah. So that's one of the things we'll be discussing in the podcast. Some games that may be coming up. For example, so far, what have we had on the site so far for game reviews? We've had Flux, and we've had a video for that. Of course, we have the card game Pooh. You can make so many jokes about that. That's not funny.
Yeah, but we love Pooh.
Yes, we love playing with Pooh. And you know what? If you go down to your own game store and pick up a copy of Pooh. You can play with your own Pooh as well. Yes, I think what we got next is Forbidden Island. And it's a really nifty cooperative game. Been endorsed by Mensa, our Mensa overlords.
Yep.
And we should be having a video of our playthrough coming up here soon. Hopefully by the time that you're listening to this. Got Guillotine, which is a card game by Wizards of the Coast. Takes place during the French Revolution, and I'm sure you can tell by the name Guillotine you're going to be collecting heads.
Oh, yeah. And let us not forget Set.
Yes, Set. Yes, everyone loves Set. It's a wonderful association game. Go take a look at our review to get all the rules explained to you, and pick up a copy of it because it's just a wonderful way to get your mind either A, working, or B, shut down. And we've said it in the review, but the first time that HuMei started playing that is he started chattering like an Ewok from Star Wars.
Yep.
The neurons in his head had shut down completely.
The game is so simple and yet so hard at the same time. And the worst part is, or maybe the best part is, if you got small kids, they'll enjoy it alongside of you, and they might show you up.
Yeah, it's also another Mensa award game, and I'm sure that you can tell that HuMei and I are members of Mensa.
Right. The un-Mensa squad. That's
yes,
me over here.
The opposite end. Anti-Mensa, sitting down at the bottom. But in all seriousness, it's a great game. Get your mind working. I don't know what's coming up next here. I think we'll probably be putting up some reviews of probably a dice-based game called Quarriors.
Yeah,
it's a really nifty one.
For Halloween, we're trying to work on getting Last Night on Earth up.
And that's the survival horror zombie board game.
Yes, and the first time I was introduced to it, I was told this feels like a movie. You're literally feeling it, the way you're playing it out, and I found out to be true. There's a lot of different scenarios you can do with the game, and where it will never be the same game twice. And it does. It literally feels like you're going through a movie.
And once again, it's basically a survival horror.
Yes.
Most of the scenarios are, you got two sets of players. You got the zombie players, and then you got the human players. The human players have to survive either for a certain number of turns until daylight, or they got to get these pieces of a car and get together and run out. But it is a nifty game. I'm not sure, but I know at least some of the earlier pressings had a soundtrack that came with it.
I have the soundtrack. I love that it has the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is it's not something you're going to put in your car and listen to on the way to work. But if you're playing the game, it seems to have that feel. You can put it up in the background and just have it playing, and you're not paying attention to it, but it just seems to go.
It's good mood music for
yes.
the game. And that's sort of what we have in the pipe for getting into games and whatnot. So we'll talk a little bit more of those during successive podcasts. Another thing I'd like to talk about, and I mentioned a little earlier, was coming events. Now, this is the part that sort of is, I don't want to say interactive, but it can't succeed without the help of the people who are listening to us.
Exactly.
Yes, we can only talk about events that are happening on our area, which is the tri-state area. We've got stuff like maybe like an hour and a half away, you got Field of Screams in Pennsylvania. And you've got in the area lots of farms out here. You've got corn mazes, and you've got
pumpkin patches.
Yeah, we're recording this toward the end of September, so like I said, October's coming, and we'll be talking a little more about Halloween stuff coming up.
Yep.
But once again, if you want us to get the word out about something in particular, go ahead and send us an email, comment on Twitter or whatnot, and anything else that you want us to talk about. You think there's something cool coming out, particular game, you see it, you don't know about it, we can try and research it. Maybe we actually have a copy of it, we'll play it, and we'll give you our frank opinion, honestly, because since you're around the coffee table with us, we want to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of certain things. And there might not be good or ugly in any of them. It might just be bad. But we want to make sure that this gets you the information that you want to get.
Also, I'd like to put an open invite to any and all game stores. If you've got a big event coming up, a lot of times the big thing is getting the word out. Your regulars will know, but not everybody else. Hey, we're on the internet. People are going to hear about us all over the place. Shoot us an email. If you've got a big tournament coming up of some sort, or working with, I've seen where multiple game stores will get together to do big things. Shoot us. If we can get it in here, we will. Because you're what we're about. We want to make sure that people come to see your store. And got no problem with letting people know what's going on in your area.
Yeah, so if you got anything you want us to talk about, you want us to announce, find us on Edo and HuMei on Twitter. And you've also got our email address that you can get off the website. What we'll do is we'll put it in here in the link description for this particular video. And I think that's pretty much going to wrap up our first podcast here. Thanks for listening to us this morning, afternoon, evening, night, whenever you may be listening to us. And we'll hope you'll be able to check out our next podcast in the future when it's available. So, say bye, HuMei.
Bye, HuMei.